self-deprecating because of your ancestors' sins. Stop apologizing for something that you didn't do. I'm tired of black people using the race card all the time and then be like, yeah, your ancestors enslaved.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren
and I'm Maureen. So in today's video, we're going to be addressing a video of an Asian woman who did not leave any crumbs. She was coming for the black community and she was coming for them hard.
Right, in that video, she just basically tells black people to stop already using the race card in what she terms as using the race card, right?
Right, and then she further goes on to tell them it's time that they stop talking about racism and encourages white people to stop apologizing for racism, and that she further goes on to say that white people of this generation did not do any wrong to black people.
Yeah, so guys, it was just so bad that her own community had to come for her and make sure that they correct her.
Right.
So not just her own people but also the black community. But without saying any further, like guys, this was so bad, TikTok had to take down her video. Whatever you've seen us playing on the first before this introduction, that is all we could manage to get from people's teachers.
Right, so let's watch this video and then we come back and talk about it.
Because I'm tired of black people using the race card all.
And I'm tired of seeing the same people who benefited from our fight for civil rights using those freedoms to pursue white validation. But I'm going to focus on something else here, y'all. Instead of me reading her the way that I normally would, I'm going to break her down for y'all and give you a lesson in white adjacency 101 because she's a prime example. So first and foremost, keep in mind that this is an Asian woman, and don't think she didn't factor that in when she said what she said. She knows that we can't push back and say that she doesn't know marginalization or she doesn't know what it's like to be mistreated by white people, because historically speaking, the Asian community does. But she's allowing herself to be a spokesperson, if you will, for white supremacy, because that allows her to maintain her position within it, which is white adjacency, because there's power there. But the reason she can disconnect herself from her history in a way that we can't is because her present looks very different. Black people are still actively fighting the same history, which is why we have to keep it in the forefront of our minds. We can't allow ourselves to stop being diligent because history is constantly trying to repeat itself. But in her community, things have advanced to a place where she can feel audacious, clearly. If you think about it, that's probably true, because when there's an influx of crime in the Asian community, what did we do? Stop Asian hate bill immediately. And I'm not saying that that shouldn't have happened. It should. But we don't see that type of quick action when it's black people. So she's coming from a place of privilege, again, which stems from her white adjacency. And honestly, y'all, if you're paying attention, what she's doing is trying to conflate name calling with actual racism. Racism in this country is systemic, systems of oppression. They were built specifically to marginalize black people and then included people like her. She's talking about that in comparison to name calling white people. And don't think that she really cares about white people's feelings, because she doesn't. She's saying this to secure her position within white supremacy because she's learned from her pale skin that there's power in being white adjacent. That's what she's protecting. And she's also highlighting her disregard for anybody else's experiences, and also her lack of empathy, which again, I believe stems from white supremacy. She has this sense of entitlement about her that makes her feel validated in trying to reprimand or chastise us in our behavior. She thinks that we should play nice with our oppressor because the oppressors are no longer oppressing her the way that they used to, even though they're still treating us the same way. And if you notice, because there's a lot of layers here, she still has no empathy as far as how we're treated in the past or in the present. If you think about somebody and their traumas, right? You know that, let's say that somebody has a fear of dogs because they've been mauled by a dog. We expect them to be scared of dogs, to hate dogs, to not want to be around them. We don't get that same grace extended to us, even though we've had some of the worst atrocities committed against us by white people. Yet she sits here conflating feelings with systems. All we can do is hurt white people's feelings, but they can weaponize their feelings against us and use the systems created to hurt us. They can call the police, weaponize their tears, and get us killed, get us fired. There's differences here. And that's what she's not saying. So y'all start paying attention to what's not being said, because that's usually what speaks the most volumes.
I'm tired of black people using the race card all.
I just want to say that obviously not every single Asian agrees with her or thinks that way. And I think stuff like this sets communities back. So here are some quick reminders that will set things into perspective. Black people did not drop nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Black people did not drop Agent Orange in Vietnam. Black people did not put Asian people in concentration camps. Black people did not sign off on the Chinese Exclusion Act. As a minority in America, I'm very thankful for the black community for their sacrifices they have made for pushing the civil rights for minorities. I am not an expert in politics or social policies. I'm just a tech bro software engineer, but I do think that this is a prime example of why education on minority issues such as slavery and systemic racism should be taught more in depth in classes. I think another problem is that education around American slavery and its impacts isn't really taught around the world. So I just want to emphasize one more time that education around minority issues needs a revamp, not just in the United States, but also around the world. Because the current education around this stuff is evidently not working, because there's people in power who believe that slavery benefited Black people, which is insane.
Deprecating because of your ancestors' sins. Stop apologizing for something that you didn't do.
Nothing in that woman video had anything to do with you or the Asian community. You want to know something funny? Every Asian person I know will tell you that Asian people are some of the most racist people you'll ever meet in your life because y'all are racist to each other. Why are you worried about what some Black girl is saying about white people? It ain't got nothing to do with you. Mind your own business. And everything is like deeper than what y'all thinking. It amazes me that everybody just don't understand. We didn't even gave y'all a whole analogy. The analogy is Black people feel about slavery how white people feel about 9/11.
I'm done with you Asians who think having a race war with the Black community is in our favor. No, it fucking is not. And y'all always want to bring up Black people attacking Asians during the post-COVID era, which has happened a few times, but guess what, bitch? There are gonna be bad people in every race. Remember, anti-Asian is always rooted in white supremacy, but a person of any race can be influenced by white supremacy. So those Black people that attacked us were subscribing to the white supremacist narrative that Asians caused COVID. And if you blame Black people as a whole for the anti-Asian hate crimes, you are subscribing to the white supremacist narrative that Black people are inherently aggressive. And y'all Asians who are like, why aren't Black people standing with us? Bitch, be grateful because they've always stood with us. Frederick Douglass in 1882 made the time to openly denounce the Chinese Exclusion Act while the Black community was going through so much, such as rampant lynchings against them. They worked hand in hand with us to free the Japanese people in the internment camps in 1942. And we directly benefited from Black-led civil rights movements every single time. So stop blaming and demanding things from them and unlearn your anti-Blackness first.
I'm tired of Black people using the race card all the time and then be like, yeah, your ancestors enslaved.
Dude, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Stop trying to be a pick-me girl. You sound so stupid. What was it about that video that made you feel so It wasn't even about you. That video had nothing to do about the Asian community at all, and you felt the need to insert yourself in for why. Your opinions don't matter, okay? And on top, I don't understand why we can't just get along. I don't understand why you felt the need to say some shit. Listen, the sooner you start realizing that we're all very similar, the more you will understand that we are all allies for a reason.
Because I'm tired of Black people using the race card all the time.
Hi guys, so I want to talk about this video piece by piece, point by point. Before I get into it, I'm going to be referencing white adjacency a lot. If you don't know what white adjacency is, then I would encourage you to check out this creator's lovely response to Olivia. The first thing Olivia does is talk about the use of bleach demons, insinuating that it's some type of slur for white people. One thing that's important to remember about slurs across all demographics is that there is historical context and violence behind it, something that this term lacks. The next thing that Olivia does is try to censor herself in the argument, asking, do you have a word for Asians as well? Do you have a word for Black people as well? There is a word for both demographics. One for Black people is the N-word, which was created by white people. One created for Asian people is a CH word that was also created by white people, specifically whenever there was an influx of Chinese immigrants. So yes, there are words to dehumanize Asian people, but they weren't created by Black people. She then brings up the next point, where she says that she's tired of Black people using the race card because they were enslaved hundreds of years ago. Now, her use of hundreds of years ago is important. She's insinuating that racism stopped after slavery, as if we didn't get segregation, Jim Crow, police brutality, mass incarceration, gentrification, redlining, voter disenfranchisement. The list literally goes on. Next thing Olivia does is bring up the same old talking point that right-wing conservatives have. The idea that every culture had slaves. And I don't really understand this point because no one's arguing that every culture hasn't had slavery to some extent. I would just say that every single culture didn't have chattel slavery, nor did they have a racial caste system. Next thing Olivia does is bring up another right-wing conservative talking point. And I'm going to quote her now. And you know what the best part is? Native Africans kept slaves. They participated in the transatlantic slave trade. People bring this point up to say that, oh, well, even like black people were enslaving black people. But I think that people who bring this point up fail to realize that just because Africans have the same skin tone does not mean that they are all the same people. They are not a homogenous group. Not then and not now. This is where I get into Asian Americans having proximity to whiteness or adjacency to whiteness. Let me be clear that the only reason why the system of whiteness allows Asian Americans the benefits of white supremacy is because it is beneficial to the system of whiteness. It's called racial mascoting. You can get a demographic that was once heavily oppressed in the United States to say that racism doesn't exist. It makes other minorities look bad. Partially, I think that Asian Americans who hold this view know that their ties to white supremacy are incredibly fragile. It is again beneficial to keep Asian Americans on the side of the oppressor. Meanwhile, black people have gotten nothing like that. We never got reparations, and any time it's ever been brought up, it's been immediately shot down. You have to understand that just because you are no longer oppressed doesn't mean every other minority has that privilege. Let me be clear that whenever Asian Americans are no longer beneficial to the upholding of white supremacy, they will drop you too.
Tired of black people using the race card all the time and then be like, yeah, your ancestors enslaved mine.
As an Asian person, you cannot make an opinion on the black community and expect it to be respected. If you are not part of the community, don't talk about it. Just echo the voices or don't. That's it. Just because you're part of a marginalized community does not mean you can also talk over other marginalized communities. When you boggle down someone's entire position to them using the race card, you are just upholding the values of white supremacy. By doing that, you're suggesting that race isn't a factor into how society treats people, denying systemic racism.
So guys, welcome back, and you've had to hear what everyone was saying, and her own community came out for her, and I'm glad that they did, because wrong is wrong, and there's everything wrong about what she said and her sentiments. And you know, I'm asking myself, to what extent did she feel that her feelings were so right and validated that she decided to take a camera, record herself, go through her video, and then end up posting on social media? You know,
Yeah,
to totally try and invalidate what black people went through, and for her to feel like what she was saying was totally correct, for her to come and speak for black people.
Because, you know, yeah, we can't presume to start speaking about the Asian community, but if she says racism has ended, maybe in the Asian community they've stopped experiencing systemic racism.
We don't know. You guys let us know.
If there is any Asian in the comment section, please let us know. But in the black community, if you do not have a dark skin and you have not walked the struggles of a dark person, in order for you to know what they face when they go to apply for a job, what they face when they have to mark on the application paper their race is dark skin, and then what they face when they get stopped by police, you can't presume to understand what they feel in order for you to immediately decide to end for them their struggles by stating one simple sentence: racism is over and you guys should get over it, shut up about it, and white people should not apologize anymore. Because black people till this day, they live with the trauma of how they were treated during the slavery times. And white people have been indoctrinated to keep treating black people the way they treat them.
And it's the same behavior, the same white supremacist behavior that they used to treat. Is why they would whip their slaves. It's why they would do whatever they felt they wanted to do to their slaves and felt like it was okay, and they used to get away with it. And that is why even law enforcement in America, they stop, they don't care if you're a child, they don't care if you're a teenager, and they don't care if you're an old person. They are going to if you have this color, they'll all be treated the same, without the consideration that this is a young person, a small child who should not be subjected to this. If you have this color, you're going to be treated differently.
Yeah, and most people in these videos, they were calling her white adjacent, you know, meaning that you know,
she's next to power.
She's next
so
to
she
power.
Enjoys the power.
So she enjoys the privileges that her next to powerness brings her, you know.
But one thing they reminded her people, which I'm very happy
reminded
about this.
her.
Yeah, one thing they reminded her was that if you take the black people out of the equation, right? You
and their pyramid remains without dark-skinned people, they are going to be the bottoms of that pyramid, and they'll be treated exactly the same way black people are being treated. And so her people were calling her to stop having the white adjacent mentality and join her fellow minority groups so that they can come together and try to fix the issues that afflict both communities in America. Because when push comes to shove, it is the white supremacy, and then you all follow on the pyramid down there.
And her people basically were, I'm wondering, those are there were very strong statements that she said, because from what I understand, the original video was way worse, because the guy in the red shirt was talking about her trying to accuse black people of being racist and
So here's what happened, guys.
Saying that black people call white people bleached, nickname. And the guy in the red shirt was trying to tell her every group has a name. It doesn't mean that Asians were spared. Black people, we all know what name you were given, right?
And someone, by the way, pointed out a very important note, that all these names, aside from the yes, that one, I can't say it because I don't want a community strike. Anyway, so what the people were saying is that every community has a name, and they reminded her that all these names, they did not stem from these other communities, but the white supremacists came up with these names, and they further went on to remind her that the dark-skinned people, they did not commit atrocities in Asia. The people who committed atrocities in Asia,
the very people
she's worshipping and defending and coming to their aid, while invalidating the feelings of other minority groups.
Community.
Yes, reminded her that right now they're still dealing with Hiroshima. I don't know, has it been 70-something years later? They're still dealing with Hiroshima, and that was not because of the black people. It was because of the palm-colored people.
Another thing someone said, one of the, I think the first lady, the black girl, she said, we are not known to weaponize our feelings. On the other hand, that was strong. On the other hand, palm-colored people have been known to weaponize their feelings. If they feel some sort of way, even we see this on social media every day, where a white Karen woman in a supermarket removes her phone to call the cops for no reason at all, just
other than
her feelings.
Her feelings have been hurt because a black person has taken a stand against this Karen and told this Karen or Ken, no, enough is enough. So the Karen or Ken will call the popo on them because black people have stood their ground.
So I don't know, you guys, let us know what you think about this episode. We really love to hear from you, and we thank you so much for joining our episode. Remember,
but before you close, guys, kindly let us know your view on this episode, especially your views on this woman. Do you think it's finally time, which I even feel so wrong saying this, do you agree? Would you agree with her that it's finally time for black people to forget about slavery, and that white people should finally stop apologizing? Or do you think that she is wrong in every way for even saying what she said?
What I'm wondering is, why is she trying to be a pick-me girl?
It's what someone in her community asked her.
Because no one in their right mind comes out to defend. I wouldn't defend my bully. I would never.
Unless God has put his fear of God in him and he has truly changed.
Which we know palm-colored people, they have a history that is still happening
until every last one of them, or a great number of them, change in America and impact real change in the black community. I would say black people should never forget, because when you forget, the same thing repeats itself, the same pattern. But when you remember what happened to you, you will see that pattern coming, and you'll know how to protect yourself.
You'll be able to try and stop it, right?
Right, or at least run away from it if you can't stop it. So guys, let us know what you think about this episode. And also, if you're new to this channel and you've not subscribed to our channel, kindly remember to do so, and then we'll see you on our next episode.